Welcome to SkinnyBoy-Entertainment. Thank you for joining me. What if I told you 40% of men do not believe in marriage? What if I told you the rate of single men is increasing and men are getting married at a later age? Yes, you heard that right. And also, what if I told you 93% of you guys are not subscribed to my channel? Now, I don't know if we got beef, but I'm just a young black engineer trying to grow my channel. So let's find out why this pastor calls it the Satanic Six. Let's get it.
Here are the Satanic Six. These are the big cultural crises that we're dealing with in our day. Number one, men are encouraged to be boys or girls, but not men. When my daughters were little, they would dress up like princesses. Now we're telling fathers to do the same thing. It's a broken, corrupt culture. And for you young men, they're trying to keep you in adolescence and childhood and boyhood as long as they possibly can, so that you're overmothered, underfathered, dependent on the government, broken, and ultimately no longer a productive member of society. Number two.
Facts, and this is why I always tell you guys, do not follow the crowd. Do not follow the crowd. You follow the crowd, you will become you will become like the rest of everybody else. And always embrace change. Embrace change. Do not stick to your same ways.
Men are not launching. How many of you guys are the young guys? You're in your 20s?
Me.
Your whole generation is a failure to launch situation. Here's what the research tells us. How many of you are dads and you've got a son, right?
Young adults are taking longer to reach key life milestones, impacting finances later, analysis shows.
Right, how many of you? You're looking at the world and you're saying, okay, is my son going to be able to launch? We are going to need to help him. Because here's what's going on statistically. This is from CNBC and it comes from the Pew Research Report. Young adults in the US are taking longer to reach key life milestones that impact finances compared to 4 decades ago. In 2021, adults who were 21 were less likely to have a full-time job, be financially independent, living on their own or married, or have children than their predecessors from the 1980s. Here's what I'm telling you. The generation today is the least impressive and the worst launching generation of men in the history of the United States of America.
And that's interesting, right? Because it's crazy. The more technology out there, we have so many resources out there. And if for some reason, I don't understand why my generation, we have so much of abundance of things to us to pinpoint exactly what we want to become, but we don't. Why are we the worst? Why are we not using the resources that we have? That's interesting. You would think the more resources we have to our thumbs, the better we are as an individual. But that's not true. That's not true. We have a lot of young men who are weak when things get tough. They say, I can't do this. And they give up in life. And they follow the easiest path. The easiest path. And that's a problem. We're not challenged anymore. You have to challenge yourself. Whatever it is that you think you want to get into, start it up, man. Stop wasting your life. You're only in your 20s for so long. When you're young and you have all this energy, it's time that you use it. Let's go.
Okay. Waiting longer to marry, waiting longer to leave home, waiting longer to have a job with no intention or plan of ever launching. And what the result is, what we have now is we have a record number of overmothered, underfathered men. And it takes a man to raise a man. They tell us that masculine...
It takes a man to raise a man. Now, I know for all my single mothers, please, this I was raised by my aunt. You have to understand, right? She did the best that she could, but there were still some things I felt that were lacking because a man was not in the household. That is what he is trying to say. Let's go.
Masculinity is adopted and adapted from a father figure in your life. And what we've got a generation of young men, and I'm not saying this to beat you young men down, but to build you up. I speak to you with the heart of a father. I've got my sons are here tonight. And you men need to know that if you just go with the cultural stream, you will be a very unimpressive man for the rest of your life.
Facts.
And ultimately what we're seeing is young guys are not launching. They're not getting married, having children, becoming husbands and fathers, and launching careers and businesses. What are they doing? They're staying at home. They're living with their mother until their 30s. They're playing video games.
I want to speak on the marriage thing, right? Because the reason, everything he just said, literally, I'm in my 20s. I'm not married. I do plan on to get married at a later age. But the reason why that is happening to young men is because first of all, the streets are dangerous. The streets are dangerous. You don't know who you're getting yourself with. If a man was to choose the wrong wife, it could ruin his whole life. And what are we seeing as young men? We're seeing a bunch of divorces happening, and the woman, majority of the time, takes everything from the guy. So we're afraid of marriage. We're afraid because we don't want to lose everything that we have built. That's why. Let's go.
They're vaping, they're ordering food delivered to the house because they're too lazy to even go out and get it for themselves. And ultimately, they're addicted to pornography or alcohol or legalized drug use, and they're just sitting around and vaping all day. Mm-hmm. We've taken men who are at the strength in their life and in that season when they should have the greatest vision for their future, and we have broken them and we have sidelined.
Ooh, I'm sorry, guys. He's hitting great topics. He's hitting great points, and it comes to when society has everything, all the resources at its disposal, we become weak men. Man, let me ask you guys: when have you approached a woman and asked her out on a date, or when have you pushed yourself to try and improve yourself in that field? Pornography has went up because why? We're not trying to deal with chicks anymore. Because first of all, these chicks don't know how to act. And also, men don't know how to speak to women. So it's crazy how we are the generation with everything, but we're still so lost. Still so lost. We're sheltered, protected. We don't know how to be a man.
Them. Number 3, men are not working. It's called not in labor force. A record 7 million men ages 25 to 54 are not working or looking for work. Okay.
Wow.
What that is that's a whole generation of guys who are in their 20s, let's say, and they're not working and they're not looking for work. If you're an older man, how many of you don't even have a category for this? You don't have. If you're a single guy, you should have at least 2 jobs. Okay, for 2 reasons. You have the energy, and if you don't have a wife, you have nowhere to put it, so you may as well go get 2 jobs. Just something to pray about. But nonetheless, the way this works is we've got a whole generation of men that we have created to be dependent and not to have them mature so that others can depend on them. And in addition, men are not marrying. 40% of millennials and Gen Z, ages 18 to 42, don't believe in marriage. They think it's an antiquated, outdated institution. And here's what you need to know.
That's crazy. 40% of men do not believe in marriage. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Wow. Now, I wonder if that's because of this dating world where we can hop from one person to the next. I wonder if that's why. Let's go on.
No, the whole world is built by men who have women and children to feed. The reason that a man gets out of bed and goes and works a job, pursues a career, takes a chance, launches a company, he's got a woman that he loves and children with his last name, and he feels this God-given level of responsibility to provide for them.
Yes.
As soon as you take away a wife and children, you take away the motivation for a man to carry the full responsibility that God intends for him to carry as a man. Furthermore, men are marrying far later than ever. The average guy today is well into his 30s by the time that he does have his first marriage. And what we see as well.
What did I say? I said when I plan to get married in my 30s, because the reason why that is because I don't feel as if I'm well established yet to get married or have kids yet. And I feel like my generation is just being we don't want to be reckless. Why put ourselves in much more of a burden when we can't even support ourselves? You feel me? Hey.
25% of 40-year-old men in America have never married. 25% of, remember that show, The 40-Year-Old Virgin? These guys aren't all virgins. I'm just telling you how this is working. So men are not marrying, but what are they doing? They're living and sleeping with multiple women with no intention of ever marrying. And so what you've got as well, you've got an entire generation that are cohabitating. And now what you're starting to see is two things happen. Women who go to college, which men don't, and women who are in the workforce, which men aren't, are having a hard time finding a man to marry. So they're doing one of two things. The younger women are marrying the older men, the dirty old guys who can afford it, or number two, they're becoming lesbian.
Key word, he said, who can afford it? Marriage, let me tell you something, right? Who can afford it? That's why the younger generation are not getting married at an earlier age. We cannot afford it. We can barely survive. So I see what he's saying, but that's the cause. When everything in this world goes up and these jobs are not paying to the same standard, or it makes it kind of hard. So now we're struggling. We're struggling just to feel comfortable. We're struggling just to feel like, you know what? I think it's time for me to settle down. And to have kids, each child is $18,000 a year. So we're being careful. Let's go on. Do y'all agree with him, or do y'all disagree on a lot of his points? Please leave a like and a comment below.
The whole trend toward transgenderism and lesbianism is in large part a number of women who would like to get married, but they can't find a man, so they decide to be a lesbian. And then number 5, men are not fathering.
I disagree with that. I don't think that's why they're becoming lesbians, but that's I don't know.
1 in 4 young adults today are saying that they are not going to have children. And what you're seeing is, for the first time in our nation's history, the majority of children born to women 30 and under, those children grow up with no father in the home. The majority of children at some point in their lifetime have no father or father figure in their home. And now the next generation of men, 25% of young men are saying, I have no intention of ever having a child. And then lastly, and I will say this as well, many men don't want to have children because they don't want the responsibility. And number 2, many men who have children don't carry that responsibility. I'll give you some statistics. 1 in 4 children today in our country have no father in the home. That's 18 million children have no father in the home. The majority of the homes are single mothers, not single fathers. And you just need to know this. If a kid grows up in America, they are 300% more likely to not have a father than the other nations on the earth. Technically,
that has to deal with the culture and the mindset of America. It's easy for us just to say, you know, I'm not going to take care of that child, X, Y, and Z, or it's easier for us to find the next chick. I could just swipe on my phone, swipe left or right, and bam, I could sleep with the next person. That easy. So it's like, why would I take all the responsibility of a marriage when I can just continue to sleep around from my phone? Plain and simple.
Statistically, this would be one of the worst countries in the world to actually be born if you wanted to have a father.
Yeah.
And so let me just tell you this. You men are a statistical anomaly and miracle. Like, some of you guys didn't know this, but going to work today made you special. You're like, some of you, how many of you guys are married? You're the weirdos and the outliers. How many of you are the father of a child?
Honestly, he's right about that, because it's like, why would men choose to get married when marriage incentivizes the other party dramatically, and men are waking up, they're like, wait. So if I get married and we divorce, you take everything from me, including the kids? So now I have to fight twice as hard just to get them or prove that you're unfit. But am I just being biased? Because I feel like that's what's going on. At least that's what I see. Man, listen, that was a great video. That was a phenomenal video. He said we don't need a better government. We need better men. We focus on the men, society will fix itself. Because men know how to stand up for something. We call out the BS when we see it. Listen, to all my young individuals who are lost in life, you feel as if you're not at the point that you want to be. You feel as if you want to give up. I need you to understand to continue to have that drive, have that focus. And I know it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. Man, there's been so many times I wanted to give up in my life myself. It's not easy. That's why we're men. Men take on the burden of the world and try to make the best that we can. Focus on yourself. Keep grinding, keep hustling. But please, please, please understand, do not ever get comfortable in your life. If this video uplift you just a little bit, hit that like and that subscribe button. But that's all.